Hello, this is Brian, and I'm going to show you today how to set up some controllers to control facial animation from exported Mixamo characters. Now, this is kind of what I've got in mind here. This is actually 4 different blend shapes. Smile left and right, and frown left and right. And this one controller, you can control all those attributes. Same thing here with speech. We can open the mouth and make the mouth narrow or wide. Same thing with the brows. So first of all, what I'm going to do is show you how to make the controller, and then second, I'm going to show you how to wire it up. So here I've loaded up a file. It's called FuseFaceControls.ma, and if you'll notice, if I look at these controllers and if I move them around, they are constrained within this little box. If we go over to our channel box, we can see that we've got controllers themselves right up here, rather, face controls that we can turn the visibility off or on, and then we've got control boxes that we can turn that off and on. And what I need to do is, I've got these wired up in a certain way to work with Dr. Fuse, and I'm going to show you now how to create your own controller and wire it up to whatever attributes you would like to do. So what I'm going to do is switch to the front view, and I'm going to go to my outliner, which is under Windows Outliner. Okay, now I've got a node here called Face Controls, and if I hold down the Shift and expand little button here, this shows you all of the components that are used. So I've got a mouth group, and I've got a browse group, an emotion group. So you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is make another group. It's going to control blinking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to Face Controls here, select the whole thing, and I'm just going to move this to the side. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Curve Tools, and I'm going to go to EP Curve Tool, and I'm going to hit the option box. What I want to do is create a 1-degree linear curve. 3 would make a rounded curve, and I don't want that, so I'm going to delete it. So EP curve type, I'm going to go linear, and so linear will allow me to make a straight line. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, here's my origin, and I'm going to make this a unit of, it's going to have a width of 2, and I've got my units set up to 1 here. I'm going to hold down X, or I can click on the grid tool for snapping, but holding down the X key will snap to the grid. So what I'm going to do here is click, 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 and so now I've got a essentially a NURBS box. So I'm going to rename that to, let's call it Blink Box. And now what I need to do is add a blink control. So same thing, I'm going to go to create NURBS primitives. I'm going to grab a circle, and I created that on the wrong axes. Great. NURBS Circle, let's go to the option boxes, and let's make sure we're in Z. And I'm going to hit create. So now I've got a NURBS circle. And I'm going to scale it so it's about the same size as these other ones over here. In fact, we can just move it over to see how close we are. Close enough. Or I could have just copied one of those. So here I'm just going to drag select. I translate Y and X, hit 0, 0 it out. And I'm going to move it up in Y 1 unit because I want that to be its like default state. Because we're in the morph targets that we're going to be accessing from our Mixamo character, I want to be able to move the controller and have it affect, good Lord. So I'm setting it 1. What I want to be able to do is effectively move this up and down to control the blinks, and I'll show you that just as soon as we wire it up. So I'm going to hit 1 there, and now what I'm going to do is modify. I'm going to freeze transformations, and so now the scale is frozen and the transforms are frozen. So this is its place in 3D space. That's its home. Now if I bring the attribute editor up, Control A, I can also do it over here, which is this button up here. I come to the NURBS shape node. What I want to do is get to its transform node. So I'm just going to click this next tab. This brings the transformation nodes. I'm going to go here to limit information, translate, and this is how you can effectively lock the controller within the bounds of the box that you just created. So what I'm going to do is put limits on transformation, and it's defaulting to -1 and 1. So in X I can only move it -1 to 1 now. And I'm going to do the same thing with Y. Its limit in Y is going to be -1, and its limit in positive Y is going to be 0 because it's at its 0 point right now. I'm also going to give it limits in Z. So if I just, 0 is already in here, so if I just click the arrows, it'll take this value and throw them over to either side. So now what I'm able to do is I've now locked this sphere into the box that I just created. Hit Z to reset it. And now it's time to rename it. So let's call it blink control. I'm going to look at these others just to make sure that yeah, I gave it the right naming convention. Okay, now I've also made text here, so I want to give it a label. So let's go to create type. This is new for Maya 2017. I am in Maya 2017, by the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go to, just move over 1 tab to the shape. Actually, over here to type 1. So I went over a couple of tabs. So I'm going to rename this to blink And I'm going to change my font size down to I think about 1. That'll work. And what I'm going to do is position it up above, like I've done with the other boxes. Okay, so again, I'm in this Type 1 tab. If I come over to Geometry, Mesh Settings, and my curve resolution doesn't need it to be any higher than 3, so I'm going to set that to 3. And what I'm going to do is create curves from type, because right now I've got a polygonal object that's extruded. So I'm going to say create curves from type, click on that. And so now if we go to the outliner, so I've got this Type 1 mesh, which is the blink, and then I've got Type 1 mesh curves. So the mesh itself, I can delete it, and now that just left me with the NURBS curves, which don't render inside of Maya. And so now I'm just going to rename this group to, and just double click it right here, and I'll call it blink text. Okay, so now I've got blink box, blink control, and blink text. I'm going to take all 3 of those, select them, and I'm going to hit Control G to group them. So now I've grouped them to themselves, and they're now underneath this group. Control G, and just name it to blink. And so now I've got this blink control. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to, I'm just going to move blink control down for a bit, come back to face controls, channel box. I'm going to reset its position in space, and let's go to blink, and I'm going to reset that as well. Now I'm just going to move it up in space. That sounds good. So now what I'll do is parent the blink, and this is the middle mouse button, under face controls. And so now I've incorporated the blink into my face controls file. And one last thing to do is what's happened here is all the elements are put into this control boxes, because I built these within this control boxes layer. And the layer has got the you can either template a layer, which was with the T, or you can press R and that'll reference a layer, so it'll show it, but you can't actually select it. You can snap other items to it. But I want to be able to select the sphere, so what I'm going to do is just select the sphere, come up to face controls, right click, say add selected objects, and then if I can turn this one back to reference, now I can move all of my controllers and not accidentally select any of this other goop. So I've got my controller set, so that's all good. I'm going to save it out. File, save scene as, and I'm going to save it as fusefacecontrols.ma.